You all, we are not licensed professionals. We are just here on this roller coaster called life, trying to be better friends to one another, trying to be better human beings on this planet. If you're tuning in, we are not opting out of therapy. We are not advocating that you listen to us and not see someone who is licensed and trained to help you with day-to-day life on how to cope and deal. So we advocate for therapy a lot here. We believe that everyone has something to talk to somebody about. So, just like to make that disclaimer that we're just here giving our opinions and having discussions week by week. And we're hoping that, maybe you can find something useful, or if at least find a little humor in this terrible, terrible rock we call the world.
In other words, if you listen to our advice and you get popped in the mouth, don't at us.
Yeah, don't at me because you may get popped in the mouth again. All right, and welcome back to another episode of Friendship University, the podcast where we try not to be trash human beings to one another, and hoping that through that it encourages you not to be trash human beings to other people. We're here to our listeners that was anticipating an episode last week, life be lifing, so we had to just take some time off. But we're back for another week, and we're so glad you could join us. I'm so happy to be here. I'm here, and I'm with my co-host Mickey. How you doing? Is that a loaded question?
Quite, actually. How am I doing? I'm not doing. I'm just existing, honestly. This first month of 2023 has decided to put her stiletto firmly pressed on the back of my neck. Straight up not having a good time. 0 out of 10. Not really, not really here for it.
And then Black History Month tried to take you out in Black History Month.
On Martin Luther King's Black History Month, it's just a lot. So just give people a little rundown of my life. There's a lot. Actually, honestly, the past 4 months have been a lot. My cat got sick. I got sick. My mom got sick. Like, there's just been a lot going on. I don't fully believe in the whole astrology thing. Allegedly, 2023 is supposed to be like the year of the Taurus, which is my zodiac sign. I don't believe that, obviously. I firmly think whoever told me that's a liar. If we see each other in the street, I will fight you because you lied to me.
On site.
This has been one of the shittiest beginnings of the years I've ever had. But honestly, the only remaining thread to this planet is that cat over there. So as long as he's around, I'm around.
And he is.
Oh, almost wasn't. So I almost wasn't either. You almost had to find a new podcast host because it wasn't going to be me.
He's going to be here. I actually really believe he hears what you say, and he's just one of those people who's like, oh, you say you love me, prove it.
And I did.
You really actually did. You put your money where your mouth was.
All of my money where my mouth was.
I cannot believe you spent that egregious amount on that cat.
I would spend more. And I would spend more. Happily.
You better be careful. He looking back at you like, oh.
Normally, if that amount of money leaves my bank account, I cry a little bit on the inside. But honestly, I was like, worth it.
Yeah, especially when he came home and he was all nice. Is he off his meds?
He's still taking some medication, just like some anti-inflammatory.
Oh, it's not zooted anymore?
No, not super zooted anymore. But I do believe animals do know when you take care of them, because this happens with not just him, but I've had a dog. I've had actually numerous dogs. Anytime you take a dog, like a pet, to the vet and you take them back and they're starting to feel better, they become super affectionate. So part of me thinks that they know you're taking care of them. Kind of like a child where they hate going to the doctor, but once it's over and done with and they start feeling better, they're like, oh my God, Mom, I love you so much.
You actually do care about me.
Right. So, yeah, honestly, I'm getting there, I guess. I haven't been to therapy in a little bit, so that'll probably help going back. I actually have an appointment next week. life's hard, Life is a highway, and I want to wrap my car around a tree.
Right, long. I don't. What?
So yeah, how are you doing?
I was tired, boss.
You,
We,
us, you and I. There is I and we this time.
There's I and we. The French is speaking right now. I'm good though. I had a really amazing weekend. It was very tiring. I'm super tired now, but very good. I got a chance to visit one of my alumni schools for a really special event. Saw some old friends. Saw my old academic advisor, Dr. Sabajalo. Shout out to you. He has since retired, head of Africana Studies Department at my university, and my mentor, and just we do still chat, text. I'm not on Facebook, but he still likes to send me Facebook messages, and then he'll text me and be like, "Did you get my Facebook message?" And I'm like, I'm not on Facebook anymore, but he still sends me the messages. So, but it was good seeing him and his wife in person, getting a chance to chat, because he's the reason that I have this affinity for like Africana studies and politics and culture diversity and just different things. He really taught me how to critically think on my own. So it was nice being able to chat with him. He definitely gave me some wisdom, because as you know, for me too, 2023 has been a lot. The end of 2022, leading into 2023
Same.
has been me riding a wave of faith that I've never had to ride before. And I mean, I'm not in rocky water.
We're still in 2022. We're in the 14th month of 2022. It feels like it.
Yeah, my new season is coming very soon though, so it was really good. And then got a chance to go by coastal towards Savannah, and that was beautiful. Savannah is obscenely hot right now. It's like 78 degrees, and it's February, so but it was nice. So got out there, got some fresh air, got to sit, see the trees with the moss, and it was good seeing something different. So. But I did travel with a friend who does have an infant. So, I was helping out with the infant. And babies be babying.
See, it's about to travel people with kids, because if you agree to travel with kids, you're agreeing to be like partial guardian of that child.
Yeah,
and like
some people don't do it.
And I'm not doing that.
Some people don't. Some people will be like, nah.
There's no kids on my trips.
But in the grand scheme of things, yes, you are correct. Because you're not going to travel with someone and then something's going on where the child needs to be watched, and you're just not giving a watchful eye. Like, you're not going to just be looking the other way, and the child just runs into traffic. So
exactly. So don't bring none of your little hoodlums on none of my vacations, okay?
I mean, it was a last minute trip. We went down there for a few specific reasons. So it wasn't really a vacation. We did get a little chance to like go and get out and different things like that. But happy to be there. So happy to be here. Yeah. Babies really be babying. I'm not a mother yet. God willing, one day. But I also know that I've made a conscientious effort for that not to happen. So, I will continue to make that conscientious effort to not become a mom anytime soon. I have realized I have a lot of nieces and nephews, and I've been around babies a lot. I've actually had to take care of children before for an extended period of time. We're talking almost a year by myself. But I'm selfish in a lot of ways, like in the sense of like wanting my time and my peace and silence.
Most parents are also selfish.
And not, but when you become a parent, you kind of got to put that to the side when at least when they're a baby, because they can't do anything.
That's true, but yeah, I don't want no two hoodlums.
Unless you can't see Anthony, and then
no little nigglets walking around nowhere. I'm good.
I mean, yeah, you can pull.
I already have one. Yeah, it's right there with 4 legs. You
can pull a Casey Anthony for sure.
I hope she's rotting underneath jail.
So no, did she get off?
Did she? I don't think so. I don't know, and I don't care.
But yeah, so we're here. As you all know, you can anticipate episodes from us every Friday, Friendship Fridays. And you know what? I'm gonna put a disclaimer out there. Every Friday, when we can make it to Friday. Okay?
Every Friday, pending my emotional and mental state.
Because I'm telling you, that cat is numero uno on the priority list. Ain't nobody come. Maybe your mom. Maybe. And they really sometimes they really neck and neck.
I would really have to
out.
That would be really hard. I would have to like sit there and like formulate a plan where I could handle both at the same time.
I think they switch out places. Sometimes mom's number one, sometimes the cat. It's just...
Mom's a grown woman. She can handle herself.
Oh.
The cat is weak and defenseless. I'm kidding. I love you, Mom.
You want to know how I actually knew that the cat was the animal for you? Not to say you haven't loved all your pets, but Baxter, your dog. Well, now, granted, you did find him a very lovely home. You didn't take him back to the shelter. I'll give you that, because some people just be like, get this jigaboo out of here. But you definitely took the time. You vetted the family. You talked to them, and you made sure he had a loving home with other pets so that he could get what he needed, because Baxter was dealing with some things. But when you had to spend that money on Baxter, you were upset for a while.
Baxter also cost me more than a fucking leg. I don't know why I keep adopting animals that have health problems that are unknown to me.
But the way you handled having to spend that money on Loki versus spending it on Baxter, I was like, oh, this cat is it.
I'm also like more financially set than I used to be.
True.
When taking care of Baxter's health related things, you would be like, okay, I'm not eating for a few days. Taking care of the cat, like, okay, I'm not eating for like a day. So
yeah,
a little
that's
bit different.
Fair. We're getting there.
Hope you're doing good, Baxter. But yeah,
he's living his best life. You still get photos and stuff, so you're good. Yeah, so, this week, speaking of loving and taking care and all that, we're going to be discussing being friends, or the possibility of what it looks like to be friends with your parents or a guardian. I don't really have a question of the week, to be honest. Like I said, I just got back in town yesterday, and I've been on the go all day today. So my mind is kind of frazzled. But what do you think? What's your relationship with your parents? Would you constitute that as some kind of friendship? Let's start with, you can go with one parent at a time. You can talk about them together. It's whatever.
No. Okay. Friends, kinda, not best friends. Like, I don't go to my parents for, like... I mean, I go to them for some emotional support, but, like, if there's something, like, really deep, or, like, something that I feel like I can't go to them with, I'll go to, like, you, or a mutual friend, or, like, Garreg. Hold on 1 second. Excuse me. Also, I have lung COVID, so I also have like terrible lungs nowadays. Anyway.
Oh God, yeah.
I'm falling apart, honestly. One day at a time. I'm just falling apart piece by piece. Anyway, so my relationship with my mom, like we were. I don't know if I want to use the word friends, because when I was younger, me and my mom were really close, and we would spend time together. And I did things with my dad too, of course. We would do things like I would play like Super Mario with my mom, and we would cook together, or we would like watch a certain TV show together. Like we loved watching Deal or No Deal, things like that.
Yes.
That's where my anxiety came from, Deal or No Deal.
What's her name that Harry is married to? Meghan Markle. She was on Deal or No Deal.
Was she?
As one of the
case openers?
The case ladies.
I didn't know that.
A model, I guess you could say.
Look at you. You ain't seen bouncing back. Okay.
You ain't seen bouncing back.
So situations like that's where I kind of like go back and think, okay, like we're friends, but also at the same time I have to remember that I was like 13 and like they were probably just spending time with me. So
well, I'm
not gonna say they didn't enjoy it. I mean,
right.
I'm sure they enjoyed having spending time with their kid, but
right.
like I don't know if that constitutes like a friendship. In my adulthood, I'm kind of known as like the ghost of the family, where I only go to family functions when it's like New Year's
holidays,
someone's birthday,
major holidays.
It's the major holidays, right? I'm not coming home for Lent or whatever, or
Day,
Easter or whatever,
yeah.
President's Day, right? I'll go home for birthdays. I'll go home for like graduations and stuff like that. But I usually am not around my family a tremendous amount. So in situations where we do hang out, like most of the time lately, lately. It's been pleasant. Like we make jokes, we talk about stuff, like we talk about our lives, we talk about like things that are going on. But I still don't know if I would constitute it as a full blown friendship. I definitely think it's still more like parent child
Mm-hmm.
relationship. Where like when I think about a friend, I think about someone. Oh, you travel with, you go to
Yeah.
concerts, um
You seek out
you,
their company.
right, you seek out their company or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But I mean, that's not to say I don't like actively think about like, oh, I want to hang out with my mom or like, oh, I want to
Yeah.
spend time with my dad or whatever. Like, that mood comes up here and there. Um, but it's not like, oh yeah, hey mom, I'm gonna watch the new Batman movie. Like, let's go do it together. Like,
Yeah.
it's not really like what we have. Where I do know some, parent child combos. We're like, oh yeah, my dad and I are best friends. We do car shows every Sunday, and we fish together, and we,
Mm-hmm.
do this, that, and the third. So I personally don't have that relationship. Would I like to?
Do you
I
think?
don't know if I would either.
Yeah, because think about your parents as individuals and their personalities. Do you feel like you could be friends?
Of course,
You and there's no camera in the room to see the lion twitch.
of course
I
we could be friends.
Yeah, we
Um,
air quotes.
don't listen to this. My dad. In it's hard to say. Where part of me would be like, oh yeah, we can never be friends. Like, oh no, absolutely not. But also, I have to remember that like, I am my parents, to some degree or another. Like, I do have traits from both of them. So like, you know, under the right circumstances, I guess we could be friends. Again, do I want that kind of relationship in my family? I do want a close relationship in my family. Like, I do get kind of jealous of like other families who are like picture perfect or whatever. But I still don't know if I would want to be like friends with them. Because there's some things that you just don't need to know about me. And that's okay. I know you have a really close relationship with your mom
Mm-hmm.
specifically. I actually think you do call her your good friend.
Mm-hmm. She
So,
is.
so I want to know more about what it's like to have a mommy friend.
Yeah. So, um, my mom and I are really close, and I do consider her a friend. We talk and we hang out. It is one of those situations where it's like we saw Woman King and just different things like that. It's like, oh, mommy, I know you would enjoy this. We could do this together. We go on vacations together. I've gone on vacation with my mom, just me and my mom together before. Several occasions, me, my mom, and my sisters have gone together. I'm actually really close to them as well. Was it always that way though? No. Obviously, like as a teenager, my mom being my friend, ew. Like,
Okay, everybody hates their parents and their teens.
what?
Okay.
No, I wasn't adverse to her. What I will say is, my mom always did a very good job of making an atmosphere where she made it feel like we could always be honest with her. So she always talked to us like people, like human beings, not
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she knew how to put, make sure that we knew we were children and that, she was doing what was best for us and different things like that. But like even from a small age, and it could be because, being in medicine, OBGYN and all that, she used the proper terms for our body. She didn't sugarcoat things. She talked to us about sex
Right.
right off the bat. I think I've mentioned before that she sent me to STD clinic workshops on the weekends, and kudos to you, girl, because it worked. But anyway, as I got older, though, I want to say that the relationship between my mom transitioned from me just having an affinity for her or like being like, oh, I love this woman. I revere her as my mom. I have a certain type of respect for her too. Like, oh no, I actually really like this person. Like, I like her company. I like her personality. I like to talk to her about a variety of things. Probably came post undergrad. So for those, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned it, but maybe in passing. But my dad passed away when I was in college, so um, I got a little closer to my mom. I was away at school, so I couldn't really be there physically, but we did start talking a little bit more as she was going through that process of grieving, and I too going through that process of grieving. So, but when I came back, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, stage 3 breast cancer.
Mm.
So after I graduated, and I was not living here in the state at the time, I moved back to Georgia. Was with her a lot, and just going through that. And she's in remission. She's been in remission now for 10 years or so. 8 years, eight or 10 years, something like that. So after that, me moving out into my own space again, I kind of like started missing her. And I was like, I don't want to talk to this girl. And I was seeking out advice and stuff. And then it just kind of like budded from there. We would go places. We would do things together. I would hear an event and I'd be like, oh, my mom would really like that. We could do that together. And same with her. Like, she would be like, oh, I saw this was happening, or this movie's coming out. We could do it. And we just started talking. And she started talking back to me too, like a friend. Mm-hmm. So, like I said before, my mom was always candid and open with us, but transparent wouldn't be the word that I used growing up. So there was a lot about my mom's life that I did not know. Mm-hmm. And she started opening up about that to me. And that's when I kind of realized we had flipped the switch to become friends. So it's great. I will say I'm super thankful to have the relationship that I have with my mom, because I know a lot of people don't, to a certain point where they don't even feel like their parents support them. Right. You know, and that's tough to feel like the people who you feel like you should be able to count on the most don't even have your back when nobody else in the world has your back. So I'm super thankful for it. We're still friends, and she'll tell me like it is, and I'll tell her like it is. Like, I've had to tell my mom, you're being ridiculous. Like,
you're being wild.
You're being wild. You're being ridiculous. You're being, unfair, XYZ. You know how moms call and talk to you about the other siblings. Right. So my mom will call, and I'll have to be like, girl, no, you actually wrong in this situation. Like, you need to do XYZ. Or I will be like, yeah, girl, I'm totally for you. Like, let's go throw rocks or whatever you want to do. So I'm hoping that friendship does continue, because I appreciate it for as long as possible. And thinking about my dad and who he was, even though he's not here anymore, I don't know if I would be friends with my dad, just because my dad's personality, I don't think would have allowed him to want to be my friend, like a true friend. He would have talked to me and we spent time together and talked all the time, but he's like an islander, Caribbean. It's just, I would always be daddy's little girl in his eyes. So I'm the youngest. He's always treated me like the baby. Right. I don't think he ever would have stopped. He used to tell me when I was younger, like, he'll never, like, even if I get married, like, he'll never stop being my dad. Aww. So, yeah, I just don't think I would be able to, like, talk to him freely the way, because I tell my mom pretty much everything. Well, the way I talk to y'all, minus the cursing. I try not to curse that much. I picked up cursing recently, hanging out with some unsavory people. But
I prefer the term sentence enhancer.
Sentence enhancer, I guess. Parental advisory is what I would actually like to say. Well, he wouldn't. I don't talk to her like that. But the way I talk to you all, pretty much the way I talk to her. Keep it real, 100. I don't think I could do that with him.
That's fair. No, that's kind of where I was thinking about, like, with my relationship with my parents. Were like, I tell them things, sure. I'll be like, oh yeah, like, I might even tell them, like, oh yeah, I went on a date. That's very rare for me to tell them that. But, like, I'm not gonna tell them, like, oh yeah, like, actually, I don't want to give an example on the air. There's certain things I don't tell my family. There's certain things I tell my friends. It's also a judgment thing.
Oh yeah, there will always be. In my opinion, yes, people can be. I think about when we were talking about this topic earlier, I thought about the dynamics of parent relationships on television shows, primarily Blackish. So the relationship between Bo and Junior, and how they're super close, and that's her person in the house, that's his person in the house, and almost to an extent, I think there was an episode where his girlfriend's mom said their relationship was weird. Like, you're too close to him. Where she had to realize she needed to back off or whatever. Because they used to do like a yearly birthday trip to the Sequoia tree mountain or whatever. Mm-hmm. All kinds of stuff. And I think about that and I'm like, even on that show, there were instances where there were things he would not tell his mom. Like he got caught smoking. His mom didn't know he smoked. Different things like that. And so to a certain degree,
That's kind of like what me and my mom's relationship was. It was
Yeah.
like me. Well, Junior and Bo. That's kind of what me and my mom were like. We're like me,
Okay.
and we were real close. My dad was more of like the stern, like, don't take wooden nickels. My mom was the girl who was like, oh my god, we're gonna go do this
Best
thing
advice.
that's super fun or whatever. And when I was thinking about family, or not family, but like parent child or guardian child or person of power versus
Okay,
person of
power.
not of power
Yeah.
relationships, it's kind of being, it's like similar to like being friends with like your boss,
Your boss.
or, you know, whatever, someone who holds like
Yeah.
a form of power over you. Where, you know, it's super fine and dandy, and I'm not saying it can't work. You know, I've been friends with bosses. I've been, you know, more or less friends with my parents. Very, very much less than more. Where it's like everything's fine and dandy, but as soon as they actually have to flex that muscle of like, okay, whoa,
Yeah, 'cause
I'm
they
still
will.
the
Yeah.
senior, I'm still the whatever, that and the third. That's when it's like, okay, whoa, I thought we were chill, and it's like we are. Like, I'm sure they like having the relationship with you, but they also have to be like, well, now pause. Boundaries. You know,
Yeah,
I
they
still
make-
am your
yeah,
mother.
yeah.
I'm still your boss, or whatever the case may be. So that is kind of where I think that you can be friends with your parents. Period. That's the end of that sentence.
But there's
But there are,
different
right,
issues.
it's different than like a relationship me and you have, where like, you know,
There's going to be bias for
right. You know, we're what I would say like even playing field. You know, we're both
Yeah.
working adults. I didn't raise you, you didn't raise me. You know,
That's
whatever.
debatable. I feel like Nicholas Minaj.
Wow,
Oh, you niggas my son.
tragic. So it is a little different. I think that it's smart to kind of treat those relationships a little bit different. Like,
Yeah.
you don't want to tell your mom that you just did like a bump in the bathroom and hooked up with somebody. Like, there's some things you don't want to give. You're gonna give little mom a heart attack.
Yeah, my mom is a worrier, so there are certain. Now, I am pretty transparent. We even talk about my dating, love life, all that. We talk about it all the time. And my mom will ask. My mom has asked some crazy questions before. Not crazy, but like we'll be sitting at a table. I can recall several times where I would be sitting at the table, even just me and her or my siblings and her. And we'll just be sitting there chilling. She'll just ask like, you know, when's the last time you all took a mirror and like looked or XYZ or just did things? And I'm just like, girl, what?
When was the last time you shocked for lumps?
We was
Which
just
is a
talking
valid
about.
question.
We were just talking about us. I don't know
See,
how
I
to
would-
make a cake, but
I wish my parents were like that, which is funny because I'm talking to my therapist about this. Where like the conversation about sex, for example, in my house was like quasi taboo. Like they weren't like outright like you
Yeah,
need
that's
to
fair.
never think about sex, but it also was kind of
Yeah.
like a
it's never like a
don't
sex
talk
is a
about it,
normal
right?
thing.
Like we saw it on TV. My parents would be like, oh, close your eyes, cover your ears, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's been something I've been unpacking. But I wish my parents were more like that because my parents now, if there's something like weird they want to ask me, they'll be like, so like we were just wondering if you're how do we say do you go to the bedroom with other people?
Do you go to the bedroom with other
and
people?
you know
That's
turn down the
funny.
lights, maybe, you know, get a little heated? I'm like,
I
are you
like to
talking about
keep the lights
fucking?
on.
Are you asking me if I'm fucking?
And I actually like to keep the
You
lights
know, I like
on.
to keep the lights on. That was especially like they're a little bit better about it now, where they will just be like,
Yeah, you're an adult.
slightly, but like when I was younger, they'd be like, "So, are you having feelings about anything? Feelings about what? Are you
Am I
asking me if I feel you know like what are we getting at here?"
Never that in my house. Now, my dad was like that. And it could be because we were all girls. I don't want to perpetuate that trope. But if I'm going to be honest, and that's what we, you know, promote on this podcast, my dad was very much so a quintessential Caribbean man. So his girls were his prizes. His boys were his champions. And he did not talk to us about those things. Like I said, my dad died a little later in my life. I wasn't a full-fledged adult, but I was old enough to talk about these things, and that was not a conversation he was having with me.
I don't want to know.
My mom, very candid, very open. Like I said, knew all the parts of my body, the proper names for them, which actually has been statistically proven to help with molestation and inappropriate behaviors of adults with kids, because if they can talk about it and they know the words to express it, they're more willing to talk to you and be open. So it is statistically proven that it's better to be upright and not, sugarcoat things or make things pretty for them so that they can be safe. But I don't think that's not why my mom did it, but I just thought that was funny. I've read up about it. But yeah, very candid, still candid to this day. Still, like, ask me about stuff. My mom has caught me, like, kissing a boy before. And that we went to the bedroom and she started talking to me about sex and what I was feeling and did I wanted to go further and what was I hoping and do I know what an orgasm is and have you ever, what is this and da-da-da-da-da.
That is so cool. My dad caught me kissing a guy and he kicked the guy out of my house and was probably about to kick me out of the house. My mom was like, "You need to chill." My mom's that G. My dad needs to get together.
Your mom definitely had your back for sure.
Completely different, experiences. I get caught kissing a guy and they're like, "Oh my God, what have I done? How have I failed? I'm a failure as a mother."
Black parents,
they wild.
I could totally see your dad being kind of like an Andre of the family and your mom being like, "Bo, like, no, like, back off of him. You just need to, like..."
That, but more violent. A lot more yelling, a lot more screaming.
What?
A lot closer to divorce. But anyway.
I get that. No, my dad wasn't a screamer at all. If you knew you were in trouble and you knew you had something to worry about when he talked people tell me I talk loud. I know I talk loud. My dad was a loud talker. Maybe the Caribbean, West Indian people, we just talk loud. We are very passionate people. So I do have a loud voice. I don't mean to, and I'm not angry when I talk. I just have a loud voice. But when my dad talked calmly and low, like, get out of the room. Get out of his face. And go somewhere and get some business about yourself because he's upset.
That reminds me of me, like, my dad growing up, where, like, he would use, like, he's more like the fear tactic dad, where, he would raise his voice or whatever, but, like, there came an age where, like, okay, so, actually, let me pull back a little bit. When I was really young, whoopings or whatever has terrified me. I've never received a whooping.
Never. Wow.
I'm not really. I wasn't really a bad child. I wasn't like I was a sneaky child.
You have a smart mouth though. I can't believe you ain't getting.
You know what's funny? My parents often said my smart mouth was going to get me beat up. Haha, plot twist. I ended up being really tall, so that's yet to be proven. But run up, get done up. Let's do it. So when I was younger, I was terrified of whoopings. My sister got her ass beat because she was a badass kid.
Same.
And I was like, I'm not about to do any of that. Same. I'm going to do it smarter where I don't get caught, but I'm not going to do it.
Not that.
So the one time I was going to get a whipping from my mom, or maybe it was my dad, I passed out. I was like, I don't know how old I was. I was really young. I held my breath because I was so terrified of in anticipation of the whooping that I passed out.
So you had your first anxiety attack as a baby?
Pretty much, yeah. And then I never got another whooping from that. Not because I was a bad kid. Like, I genuinely was a pretty quiet...
Who's going to whoop that kid after they stood there and let you...
I held my breath. My body physically did something it should not be able to do.
Intentionally held your breath enough for you to pass out. I too would be like, oh no.
I didn't even know I could do it. Anyway. And then there came an age where, like, you get teenager phase, the hormones are going. We're like, if my parents wanted to punish me, I was ready to fight. There was one time that my parents took my car from me. Rightfully so.
Your dad is tall too. Your whole family's tall.
And I didn't care. I was ready to box. There was one time, and this wasn't often. Like, I was not a bad kid, but there were some times where, like, I've done something or whatever, like, not awful. Like, it wasn't like, oh my God, I cussed out my teacher, or like I punched someone in the face. It was like, oh, I didn't meet curfew, or by like a couple minutes, or like, oh, I didn't.
He needed to put
right, like, oh, I didn't take out the trash like I was supposed to. Right? He was like, no, you're in my house, whatever.
I mean, you're talking about a man who said, don't take no wooden nickels.
No wooden nickels. So took my car because I showed up late from
took your car.
My curfew, which.
What a bummer.
I didn't do anything. I wasn't doing anything bad. I literally was just rushing home, trying to get there before curfew because I was being, young, loud, and free. I was like, I want to hang out for like 10 more minutes. I should have just went home. Got pulled over. Didn't get a ticket, but the cop did call my parents. And he was like, hey, I have your kid. And they're like, so yeah, it was downhill from there. Took my car, rightfully so. Again, like, hindsight, should have took the car. But I was like, I want my car back. I want freedom. And I was like, Dad, let's box. Like, let's actually box each other. And if I win, I get the car. That man whooped my ass.
I was about to say.
But I kept getting back up. And eventually he was like, you know what? Fuck it. Here's the fucking car. Had a great time. So whoopings for me really didn't do much anymore. Like the fear of God. Because I was like, you know what? There is no fear. Like, if you kill me, it is what it is. Because either I die or I get my car. Like, there's the only two options that are going to happen. I got my car. I was back at school the next day. I wasn't riding the bus. I'm not getting on the bus. Absolutely not.
The means justify the end for sure.
Okay, I had to ride the bus for a week, and I was like, I'm never doing this again.
Got what I remember that. What you just said reminds me. I had a coworker whose daughter literally told her she was trying to get BTS concert tickets. She said, "I will lay on the ground and roll off the face of the earth if I cannot go to this concert."
You listen.
And she got on the ground and started rolling. Like, I will.
She's like, I gotta go. They see me rolling. Okay, she said I got to go.
That's funny. I cannot imagine. I too did not get a lot of whoopings. I saw my siblings get their ass beat. My sister right before me was a menace to my parents. I look back on some of the things she did. I do not understand how my mom did not murder her. Because menace to society, period. I kind of still a menace, but that's neither here nor there. And I was like, I don't want that to happen to me. My dad didn't do a lot of whooping. He may, pop us on the hand or something when we were younger, but I've only seen my dad get angry with a couple of us once, never me. He has jacked a few of my siblings up. Never wanted that to happen. I've seen my mother beat ass. There was one time my sister did something. It was so egregious, I don't even want to speak about it on camera. My mother leapt over the bed like she was leaping over a gymnastic pole. You know, the long jumps where they got
the hurdles, whatever.
Leapt over that bed so fast and got down that damn hallway into her room. And jumped on her like a spider monkey. And I said, I never
chase someone with a vacuum cleaner.
I'm never gonna do that. My mom has only had to do that kind of thing to me once. I got smart with my mom. And to this day, I still do not fully remember what I said. I think she smacked the memory out of my head is what happened. But I said something smart as I was coming down the steps, and all I saw was a hand coming around the corner. Bah!
She said, I'm on my way.
Smacked the taste out of my mouth. And like I said, I think she smacked the memory of what I said, because I don't remember what I said. I never did it again. Never opened my mouth to say anything she would find disrespectful again. So
that's kind of like the segue that was a really long segue, but neither here nor there. Where I was going to say, like, I think friendship with guardians only works when you become an adult.
Yeah,
friendships take respect. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying parents don't respect their kids, but like there's a different kind of respect there where it's like, okay, I respect you as like a human being in my house, and I'm not gonna like hurt you or anything like that. Yeah. But at the end of the day, this is my house, my rules. You're gonna do what I fucking tell you to do.
I have a responsibility
to protect you and things like that. I mean,
I can't tell you what you want to hear when you want to hear it, because that's not what I'm here for.
Right. I mean, honestly, friends shouldn't be doing that either. You should always be keeping it real, but still. Sure. We're like, if you told me, Malik, go get me some soda, there's a 50% chance I'm not going to do it.
I feel like I have asked you to get me something and you said, you're not a guest.
Period. Like, okay, get it yourself. Me, if I told that my mom, she would throw her slipper across the room.
Okay.
So I think it does require a level of maturity on both ends. I think it does require you honestly getting out of the wing or whatever, or off the nipple of your parents. Don't live with your parents, try to be friends. Like, I would say live on your own, where it's not, it's my house, my rules. You right.
As that independent person, for sure.
Right. I'm trying to think of, everybody I know who's like quote unquote friends with their parents, it usually was like they did not
an adult.
Right, it was an adult situation. Yeah. Maybe they didn't vibe with their parents very much when they were younger. I will say my relationship with my parents has gotten better since I've gotten older.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
I can see that. It goes through waves. It was really good, then it got kind of bad, then it got kind of good again, then it got kind of bad. We're back on good. Thank you, Miguel.
Ooh, Miguel.
I haven't seen him in like a month.
Really?
We have a lot to talk about.
You go weekly.
I usually go weekly. It's been a lot. It's been a lot going on.
I get it.
So looking forward to crying next Wednesday. Haven't had a good cry in a little bit. I I think it's possible.
Yeah, for
I also
sure.
don't think it's
Yeah, for
I also
sure.
don't think it's like required. Like you don't have to be friends with your children or your parents to
No,
have a good relationship with
some
them.
I don't think some parents want that.
Right, like okay, I'm just mom.
Yeah.
You know, I love you so much. Come visit me. You know, all that great
Hmm.
stuff. But I don't really need to know if you know what TV show you're watching
I
or
don't need to know
you're
who you're
right, who you're
dating,
dating.
how
Just
many
bring.
times
I'll
you
meet him
had
when it comes
sex this
over.
week.
Right.
Yeah, I don't need to know all of that. Some people don't. And you can still be close to your parents and trust. There's a certain level of trust you can have for one another when you're younger to talk to them, but
Right.
still
To still
like
talk about open. Right.
open relationship, yes. Friendship,
Not
maybe
so
not so
much. Because at the end of the
much.
day, if they're like, we're having steak and potatoes for dinner, that's it. Like
Steak
that's what
and
you're
potato.
having.
I heard this lady on the radio say, was it a radio or a podcast? I don't know. Some broadcast where she said if her kids, I think they're smaller, are complaining or grumpy about what she made for dinner, she does what's called a gratitude dinner where they can have the next day only rice and water for every meal.
There it is.
So breakfast, rice and water.
You better be grateful.
Lunch, warm rice and water. Dinner, maybe rice and water. Be thankful for what you got. So
That's why I have no kids. I'm not about to sit here and slave over a meal and then be like, I'm not hungry or I don't want it.
I
Then
think
starve.
you're allowed to have an opinion, but like some I have seen where kids are just like, and this is just being around babies and just knowing a lot about kids, period. Like taste buds develop. It takes a lot of times. Like I feel like I read somewhere that it takes when a kid is anywhere under the age of like 7, it can take up to 20 times of an introductory of something for them to then accept it or like it. So that means you have to like continuously introduce a fruit or a vegetable to them up to 20 times for them to then like give it a try or really like it or
I
different
believe
things
that.
like that. And then after 7 it actually increases. It like doubles, I think. So that's why I know a lot of people who didn't have a lot of food until they were adults because their parents introduced because they thought they didn't like it. But yeah, that's a tangent. I definitely think as an adult too, you can be friends, as we said. There will always still be that level of
Authority.
yeah. There's like a film almost.
It's
There's
kind of like
like
being
a
friends with the
veil.
boss.
Yeah.
Right. Where it's like, you can be friends, but just keep in mind that there might come a day where they're going to be like, hey, you are going to do
or
this.
you're not gonna say certain things just out of respect or revere.
Right, like don't tell your mom you're busting it wide open for the neighborhood. Like, unless she's like, I love my hoe daughter.
If she likes that, we love it. But like, I like the example you use with the cocaine. Now, yeah, maybe some people do have that transparency because maybe if they know you
I
are
know some
doing that
parents
or
who be
have
doing
a
some stuff with
problem.
their kids. And I'm like, well, that's your child, not mine.
But I would never like. What I will say is there are very few things that I've never shared with my mother. And to be fair, most of those things I've never shared with anybody but God.
Right.
So, and there aren't many things I haven't shared with anyone, period. Most of my life is an open book. Maybe 0.001%. I'm thinking about 1 or 2 instances of something that God only knows what happened. And that's it. Everything else?
Murder.
Not murder. Not murder.
I have a question now, actually. I think you and I have had this conversation outside at some point. How do you feel about, and I think a lot of our generation does this, but I also want to say, like, I feel like every generation probably acts this way when you're younger, where, like, you have the more stern parent or, the parent who's annoying or the parent who's, absentee or whatever. It's like, oh, I'm going to be the cool parent. When they grow up, I'm going to let my kids smoke. I'm going to smoke weed with them. And I want to make sure they feel safe at the house. And, like, if they're going to drink, I'd rather them drink at the house. Like, how do you feel about that dynamic? When I was younger, I thought it sounds super appealing. Where I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be the cool dad. I'm gonna be friends with my kids. We're gonna do stuff together. Like we're gonna go. I'll smoke the first cigar with them, and we'll go to the. I mean, I'm not taking no kids to the strip club, but
not boosted beads.
Right, like
okay, the same man that got all that frozen food and Kool-Aid pouches and Lunchables in the fridge for nutrients, sustenance for his children
and my life.
But please go on about your dynamic.
So, how do you feel about that? Is that a friendship? I don't think that's a friendship. Like
with them just
with them trying to like fit in and
that's
like
a great question.
Right.
That's a great question. I think in some instances that is them attempting to try to be a friend or get an in to
Right.
be a friend. Oh, I'm the cool parent. What I feel like with that though is it changes the dynamic, because this is what I'll say. You're raising human beings, so yes, you need to give them the ability to think freely, to make choices, think critically, and that comes with experience. That comes with trial and error. They're going to do things. They're going to test the waters. They're going to push the limits. But introducing them to those things is a different story. So it's
Right.
like,
Coming
I
in like
walk
an enabler.
in, right? I walk in with a joint. Let's smoke this joint together. I'm not okay with that. Like, if they come to you and they say, "Hey, I was offered Mary Jane at school or whatever," and and you want to talk to them about it, and they may be curious about it, you can talk to them about it and different things like that. But I don't know. I'm not a parent, so I feel like that's like the purpose you always have to say. I'm not a parent, but I'm not even though I have been around kids a long time and I have a lot of experience with children. At the end of the day, I do not know what it feels like to push a human being out of my body after having set up a vacancy hotel for them or a penthouse suite for them for almost 10 months and or 40 weeks or whatever, and create that bond with them. I don't know. I would hope that I could do a trend that I am on is the gentle parenting trend, where parents are now talking to their children like human beings and like people who can think things out and give them options. But I don't see myself being one of those parents where it's like, let's have our first joint together, or will I give my kid a little bit of champagne at New Year's when they're 15? Maybe. Did my parents put beer in my bottle? Perhaps. I'm too old for you to call defects, so it doesn't even matter. But I may do things like that. But yeah, I just think it's a cry or an attempt for these people to feel included in their kid's life because they feel like they don't have that genuine connection.
Right. Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, I think it's weird.
Now I think it's weird.
I think it definitely, kind of like you were saying, it depends. Like I as an adult, I'm not gonna come to a child and be like, and when I say child, I don't mean like 4 or 5. I mean like teenage, close to graduating, like still underneath
Not
my
a
house, but they
kid.
can think for themselves.
An adult is a different story,
Right.
but a
kid, no, absolutely not. But like, I'm not gonna walk even to my like teenage child who can drive. I'm not gonna walk and be like, "Hey, Johnny, let's roll up some Devil's Ambrosia and get lit tonight." Like, I'm not doing that.
Let's get lit.
I would want to facilitate a relationship where they could feel okay with me, like, "Hey, Dad, I've been interested in smoking weed, or I've been interested in this.
Yeah.
I want to know like how you feel about it." And depending on what it is, I might be like, "Okay, you're interested in it. Let me sit on how I feel about it, and then if maybe we can do it at the house a little bit, or maybe when you reach a certain age, we can do it together, or something like that." I would like to facilitate that kind of situation, but I'm not going to be like knock on his door and be like, "Hey, I'm about to go outside and roll up. What you trying to do? You trying to match?"
Right, you want to match?
Right. I'm not doing that.
Now, I'm not going to be a hypocrite if I do find out they're doing something.
Right, because I was out here doing the most.
Living my best life.
Okay.
Ain't going back and forth with you.
So who am I to judge them?
Yeah,
like,
but I am going to tell them the effects of certain things that I had. I remember going to my mom and telling her when I was offered like a drink. And it's a little, not to get into specifics because it's a little different in the Caribbean, but yeah. And she talked to me about it and talked to me about alcohol and just different things like that. I was a teenager. I was in high school at this point. And it's not that I hadn't been exposed to alcohol in the sense of like that I didn't know what it was. I was just naive. My parents threw parties a lot. I knew like it was something that the adults did or whatever. But they were, I went to a party in high school and there were drinks. I didn't drink, but I remember talking to her about it. And it wasn't even like a pride, where she prided out of me. I honestly felt comfortable enough. It was just that atmosphere where I trusted her. She asked me how I went and just different things like that. And I remember, like, when I turned down the drinks, there was a lot of peer pressure. There were people, like, you know, trying to insinuate that I was a square and just all these different things. And I was like, no, like, if there was one thing that I never gave into, it was peer pressure.
Okay, you better have your Disney Channel moment.
Really, honestly,
I'm not drinking.
To this day, I do not do well with that. Like, people who try to make you feel bad for things, it will make the opposite on me. If I make a decision that you don't like and you try to guilt trip me into changing my mind, it's actually going to push me further away. Like, I've always been the opposite person in that manner because I just don't feel like it's genuine. So it didn't have any effect on me. But I talked to my mom about it because, you know, well, I'm not going to say it didn't have any effect on me because some of them were quote unquote friends at that time. And I was just talking to her. I was like, yeah, you know, I thought such and such was my friend. And I just felt like they didn't have my back. And da-da-da-da. And, you know, she had a very open conversation with me. She didn't pull out a bottle.
Okay, she was like, let's do some shots of Everclear, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to roll up. Like, what are we doing, okay?
Yeah, she didn't say, well, let's test some now. So, no, not even. Even when I expressed the curiosity of like, well, I would like to see what it does and all this, she wasn't like, yeah, let's go to the liquor store right now.
It's wild because me growing up, my parents were like super stern about like, if we ever catch you smoking weed, your ass is grass, boy. Like, what do we do? Like, all that stuff. And then
your ass is grass.
Like, okay, listen, it was a rap. And now that I'm an adult and they know that I do these different things, they're like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, you're an adult.
There was one point my dad was like, oh, do you need to buy some more? I know a guy. I'm like,
you know a guy? What do you mean you know a guy?
And yes, I do need to buy some, actually.
So
it's weird. Me personally, it's not for me. Again, in a certain universe, may be possible, but for me now, no, not so much.
Not today.
If you're friends with your significant other, you should be friends with your significant other.
We'll talk about that another day.
But if you're friends with your siblings, Jesus Christ.
You just throwing all of our conversations out there.
Right. If you're friends with your goldfish or whatever, if you're friends with your guardian or parent, please let us know. We would love to hear more about it. I honestly can't wait to see Beyonce and Blue Ivy's friendship, and when they become adults, that'll be so fun.
Foot on the back of Beyonce's neck.
Speaking
that
of,
is Blue Ivy's.
We got
employee.
Tickets.
Woo-wee!
We got tickets, and that's really unfortunate for you broke bitches. Mind you, yes, we are broke bitches, and we're sitting on the roof with Batman.
Speak for yourself. I'm in between blessings, but yes.
I'll take that. Well, we'll be in between the ceiling and Beyonce. Okay, we are on the roof with the bats.
How does it feel to be one of God's favorites?
Love it. So any closing thoughts?
Special shout out to the person that got us the tickets, and be high forever, because I'm not a member, but yes, we have a friend who was, and they were able to get in early. Sucks for you suckers. No, I'm just kidding. Final thoughts. I do feel like you can be friends with your parents. Obviously, I am a product of that. Definitely consider my mom a very close friend, a confidant, all that jazz. And I think I can attribute that to being an adult and her seeing me as an adult. So as long as there's a mutual respect, they treat you like an adult, they see you as an adult, and it's not a situation where, because I have also seen situations just very shortly where someone feels like they have to be a parent's friend because they don't have anybody else. So they got to be around. And you should never feel pressured to be somebody something because they don't have nothing, because that's what God is for. Yeah, so I guess that's my final thoughts in a nutshell. What about you?
Me and my cat are best friends, so obviously you can be best friends with your parent. Yeah. Just keep in mind that there might come a time where they have to check you, and at the end of the day, that's your parent, so you might have to listen. Unlike if your friend checked you, you can cuss them out and call them a raggedy bitch.
Hang up in their face. But I know some people who do check their parents.
Some people really be out here checking their parents, saying all kinds of things. And I'm like, you let them talk to you like that? And I'm like, also like, well, I guess they are both adults. So, thank you everyone for hopping into another episode with us this week. We're in mental turmoil over here. We have yet to see bouncing back.
It's coming.
Is it?
It's
well,
gotta be.
I'm just delaying time while Kristen takes pictures of my cat because she needs to
he's so
do
adorable.
the exit because I do not know our handles.
Yeah, sorry. I was Loki.
Loki
was so adorable. He's sleeping on our equipment. Out of all of the space in the place that we are, he has chosen to sleep on the equipment. So let's get into the handles. Let us know on social media if you're friends with your if you're friends with your parents or your parental guardians or whomever. We'll be posting to all the handles. You can find us on Twitter at Funny Podcast. That's FUNI Podcast. We're on Instagram at The Friendship University. You can also email us. Leave reviews. Email us some testimonials. Email us. We would love to read them on air if you have anything to say. Or maybe we'll even set up one of those like voicemailing apps where they can call in. I don't know. I was looking into that. We'll see.
Don't call us. I'm not listening to motherfucking voicemails. If I ever see a voicemail, I immediately delete it.
It's not going to be to your personal phone. It's just a voicemail like app thing that's set up that they can call in and leave comments or whatever. Don't listen to the Grinch that stole Black History Month over there.
Wow.
We are here.
That's a spinoff somewhere. That's got to be a spinoff.
You can also email us at friendshipuniversitypodcast@gmail.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. Another Friendship Friday. We made it, y'all. The end of the week. Enjoy yourselves this weekend, but make good choices. We out. Peace.
Bye.